Trove, developed by GameAgo AG, boasts a vibrant community, and connecting with fellow players is a key part of the experience. The global chat system acts as the digital hub where players can exchange thoughts, seek assistance, and form parties. Now there happens to be an intricate and interesting catch: there is no crossplay. This means that everyone on console can only talk to people on the same console. This also means that players on Xbox will never know a single thing a PS4 player says. I'm here to give an insight to the dark history of Trove's least moderated platform, Nintendo Switch. Now here's some things you need to understand initially to get the whole story. Firstly, keep in mind that on Switch, global chat is way more active than all the other platforms combined. Switch players don't just use global to ask for Uber 10 ship carries, they use it to actually socialize. Let's take a look at Nintendo Switch global chat for 3 minutes on any given day. Oh look, there's a top 50 player actually socializing outside of their club. Now let's take a look at Xbox Global. Yeah. So, Nintendo Switch chat is like I show speed chat sometimes, and inherently, there's a whole story of drama to tell. This is it, June 2021, the time where Trove was incepted, where this all began. I wasn't part of the Switch community until August 2022, so up until then I will use a recount from an OG player, Spartan316, to fill in these gaps. So in the early days of Trove, people were making top clubs, grinding. Most were adults transitioning from other platforms to start fresh, as you would expect. About 3 months in, things take a turn for the worse when our first villain arc begins, Mr. Booze. This guy was unhinged. Logs on only to get a reaction out of kids, and people start spamming to get him off the screen. He'll be back later, by the way. Then our next villain enters, Food Broken. This guy is just like Booze. They end up becoming like a tag team. The real OG Ladybug and Black Cat. Like, yeah. And then we get villain number 3 thrown into the mix, who we will also see later. It's the new guy. The new guy is a character. Oh, also, Big W Chadman Long Zero is here too, but he was pretty neutral at this time. Let's just say that at this point, slurs are going across global like a battlefield. Now, with people throwing insults daily, randoms joining sides, Booze even making a cult, at this point, global was looking like a joke. Now, I'd like to just say, compared to what's coming up, this is tame. Like, really, this is nothing compared to the things that I've seen. Anyways, during all of this, normal players couldn't really use chat as they would be bullied swiftly or chat would be cleared. At this point, top clubs like S-God and PVZ start taking bans more seriously. But the fighting did eventually die down. However, Booze was still targeting people and ridiculing them for—
I've decided to let you live. That way I can make you suffer longer. I'll enjoy playing with you until you break.
who they were, you know, based off of their sexuality or their race, etc. After a while, Booze started to get on less and people used top clubs as the new global chat. Clubs like Glimgod or Grave of Fireflies became common hubs. Those clubs still remain at the top 30s in the club PR leaderboards today, just by the sheer amount of players that utilize them as a new global chat. Despite the fact that they've been dead for a long time, they're still up there. Now it's January 2022. More people are playing, and specifically more kids are. The player base is well established, and anyone who's been around for a while has actually became secluded, one could even say hidden. Kids were running rampant in Global, making private chat lobbies to do stuff, and just generally being annoying. Anyways, at this point, New Guy's girlfriend broke up with him IRL, and so he didn't log on often during this period. Grinders, people actually playing the game, were scarce in Global, quite the opposite of Xbox Global, really. And now we hit that One Piece time skip, going all the way to March 2022. This is where one of the game's most infamous villains come in, Maisie. This lady would spam, generally annoy and troll people, bait people into scams, and of course, ERP with minors. Of all the villains, Maisie stood on top. And then Maisie got hit with a big V, but to my knowledge, Maisie was the first Switch player to be hit with a permaban. But anyways, after Maisie's ban, Global was all peaceful. But you'll see this as a trend. As Global does, it turns for the worse. Average day in Global. It's August 2022. Everything is normal. The sun is shining.
This is home.
This is home-ing. Nothing is wrong.
And then the greatest event in all of Trove history hits the joining of the new player of On69!
That's me. More on him later. But most importantly, now I can give you a detailed description of these events. So I'm grinding, as a noob does, and I get up there. I joined Plants vs. Zombies, a soon-to-be-dead club that was in the top 10 back then. I was also in a club called Holders of Apocalypse, but we don't talk about that club. Anyways, I was about 17,000 power rank when I actually started looking in the global chat. What I saw was standard for the time. Long Zero had actually entered his own villain arc, tag teaming with Booze from time to time. Regardless though, I was simply observing when I saw some pretty nasty stuff. Players left and right, asking for e-sex and whatnot, making private chats, and RP chat was a thing. And I initially thought nothing of it, until I realized that this is a E10 plus Minecraft clone, not Tinder. Well, basically Tinder for pedophiles, you know, swipe left or right, pick whoever you want. But anyways, at this time, Booze is beginning to step down as the self-proclaimed king of global, and actually Long Zero is taking his place as the guy who puts people in their place. But all in all, the people who are getting a talking to are annoying kids trying to date on Trove or spamming or whatever. This period is pretty normal, and it's substantiated for a full 6 months. Like, 6 months of this standard formula. Grey Name logs on. Grey Name says something dumb, like looking for a girlfriend. Grey Name gets shamed by Long. Grey Name is never an issue again. People move on. Some drama happens, and Holders of Peace is created. All is right with the world. Global has no drama, just cringe kids looking for girlfriends. Then things take a turn for the worse. We enter January 2023, where I see a returning pedophile, King Valor, for the 30th or so time. I don't know why, but for some reason this guy, despite all the talkings he gets, he just doesn't give up. And he is once again asking, anyone here a girl? I say that I am, let everything unravel, and what do you know, this guy actually ERPs, even though I told him I was a minor and he said he was 21. I literally had been so fed up with this happening that I decided to make an entire YouTube channel dedicated to exposing the pedophiles of the game. So I did. The King Valor video was a hit, and I was on a roll with the evidence collecting by now, so I decided to keep the momentum going and made another video. So meet our new biggest villain, Narya 3. Narya is the new Maisie, as I like to put it.
Don't bother me, and don't get in my way!
And Narya had a club called The Ongoing Conquest, which, if I'm gonna be honest, was really just her aid in the ongoing conquest for e-sex, if anything else. Narya was pretty disgusting, saying things like, who has some flex for their queen, with the cat emoticon on the end, followed by 3 simps tossing their wallets at Narya. And she went through about 14 boyfriends in her career, at some points dumping and getting a new one multiple times in a day. all online. She reached desperate boys for every drop of in-game wealth they had, and then tossed them out of the club. Like, her officer list in the club was her list of new boyfriends. Toss one out, pick up the next in line. And of course, the system allowed Narya to exploit noobs by asking for all their flux in exchange for a spot in the endless line of potential boyfriends. This was actually disgusting. Later, I find that Narya confirmed her age to be 21? Upon asking for further clarification on this, Narya begged in my PMs to believe that she was actually 12. So I did. Because honestly, it didn't matter. This way or that way, I had physical proof of her trying to date minors, and testimonial evidence from a trusted adult that Narya dated them. So I went ahead and exposed Narya. And it actually worked. Narya, she came back once or twice, but nothing too serious. She really was shunned from the community, banned from pretty much everywhere. By now, I had a portfolio, and honestly could make a good 4 extra exposing videos on various persons from back in November 2022 all the way through January 2023. But the important thing is, I was starting to see the glaring issues this game had. I started talking up my message that things needed to change, trying to get people to rally with me and file reports on GameAgo, but all it did was turn everyone against me. All of Global hated me. Not one person wanted me there. I received frequent death threats and was told to quit daily. This just goes to show how disgusting the community was back then, and I decided to accept that no one would support me and take on GameAgo myself. And so I declared that Trove was GameAgo's biggest mistake. And I made a video promising to see it through. I go to my local cybersecurity administrator at my city's police station and look at my options. I decided to start small, but was more than willing to go all the way to court over the blatant cesspool of pedophiles that was Switch Trove. I ended up beginning by talking to a developer on Discord about the issues. I talked back and forth, giving my evidence, and actually convinced the devs to change things. So the TOS got changed on all platforms. I had actually won. I proved everyone wrong, even getting long zero on my side at this point. And this is where Trove actually starts to get slightly better, as now GameAgo is legally obligated to respond to player report tickets, and now, if a player was reported enough for spam, they would actually get a month-long mute. And it's true. Players like Twilight00 and Polterfight get banned without 100 tickets being submitted. It only took one. Global is at its highest point ever. By now, chat clearing was also fixed, and clubs can actually ban people without sacrificing half their members. Then, of course, Global just has to do its thing and take a turn for the worse. So, King Valor is back. Thankfully, no one is falling for it. He kinda got shunned from the community again. Anyways, but importantly, Switch Global's most infamous figure was even lamented to this day. The man who ruptured the entire community, the new top villain of all time, LeLeam. LeLeam is a character. He simply talks with a W in every sentence. Just to be funny, I guess, but one of the first things he said was just him asking for help, a delve carry or something like that. However, people got annoyed by the way they talked and they ridiculed him for it. They also made the biggest mistake ever, which was actually saying that it annoyed them. Let me explain how clout works for you real quick. If people know you, you're well known. If people have a reaction every time you enter their mind, you're well known. And if people pay attention to you, you're well known. But most importantly, when you're well known, you have clout and get that sweet dopamine. LeLeam got attention day one for being lightly annoying, and saw this as the opportunity that negative attention is still attention, and decided to go Gear 5 on this shtick. So LeLeam, left and right, talking about sex, ERPing with people in Global without any consent, just out of the blue says, Duxie in your ass pool, and even spammed QCs about bugs in his genitals and how they tickled and he wanted them to stay. And of course, frequently told noobs to go to furry porn websites for free stuff. All the entire time talking with W's like he was a baby or something. This guy was wild. He eventually reached the status of, oh, LeLeam's on, time for his daily mute. And so he made 7 alt accounts where he would log on, spam quick chats about me deleting my channel, then get muted, hop on the next account to rinse and repeat. This was terrible. all the other bad players fell into the periphery. Like, this guy had a 24-hour timer on his Gab watch and every day got on when his mute ended to spam. He evolved from typing full messages out to get on, spam, get on alt, spam, get on alt, get on the alt, spam, repeat 7 times. It was his job to do so, all in the name of clout. This guy was so hated. For a while, the player Rechix made a club that ended up getting in the top 100 called Hunting Bleem with a Rifle. And namely, on the off chance I found Bleem in an adventure world, I got a photo. I actually later realized that this club is KYS Rechix. Yeah, keep yourself safe, Rechix. This goes on for way too long, all the way up until about June 2023, where Bleem finally gets banned. So what's next? Bleem gets banned, so now who do we laugh at? What's the next big villain to one-up him? Well, the answer is none. Global is chill. Long is chill. Forgetting his old ways and becoming a much nicer person to everyone in general. I'm climbing up the player ranks, and as I approach my 1-year Trove anniversary, I happily own and manage a top 35 club that I started from scratch. At this point, Global is peaceful, and I would honestly say that the only issues were people harassing each other for differences such as gender or hobbies.
That was a nice way of saying furries.
And it was generally better than it was for sure. Then we get people like Skytaker, Apex, Lucas, and Packer to join, each of which were indescribably disgusting or annoying and later tried, or are still trying, to get back into the community. And honestly, ever since I fixed that little issue with player reports not going through, Global has been pretty boring. So that's it. Surely there's nothing else. Ugh. So as Global does, somebody's just gotta ruin it. And guys, I'm gonna be real, that person was me this time. I'm really gonna regret this later on, sorry. Well, basically, there's this person called Blue Place who PM'd me that a top player who will remain unnamed, and do not reveal the player in the comments if you know, had doxed them, stolen their bank account, and made them look like a pedophile. I was good friends with this person, and I got mad about this. I actually got his testimony and made an entire video exposing this top player. Well, the video was set to premiere 1 week after I had finished it, as I wanted to see the people's reaction to something like that looming overhead. A day soon approaching when a top player would have their reputation take a hit, and where evidence would come to light. Well, this split Global in half. Half taking my side, despising the player I was supposedly exposing, and the result was everyone at each other's throats, waiting for the video to release. Well, that video got over 200 comments, and one day after it was released, I deleted it from the channel forever. Maybe one day I'll bring it back with a disclaimer that I was entirely wrong about everything in the video, retitle it as The Real Dr. Drip Lost Video. Maybe I'll throw in my other deleted or unfinished Trove videos in there too one day. But I digress. Basically, much like back in the summer of 2022, all of Global was against me for a while. Then, I sincerely apologized and reported Blue Plays, where he was muted for 3 months swiftly after, closing out the summer of 2023. Now we approach the present-day Global on Nintendo Switch. I was forgiven, and thankfully as Global was no longer full of closed-minded jerks, it was understood that I was lied to by someone trusted and that there was no real fault on my part. Now we still have the issue of players logging on and spamming, but they're swiftly dealt with, and no one even bothers to harass them about it, now simply remaining in the shadows of the chat to report when it is needed. Clubs are actually banning people on minor offenses now, such as dropping F-bombs in any context. And actually, it was only around October 2023 that pretty much every club banned someone who even utters a word similar to a slur. And not just the N-bomb, but a slur against any minority or community such as furries or LGBTQ+. In fact, Anytime someone drops a slur, players jump out of the shadows to lecture them on how, like, that's not cool, bro. We truly are in the era of reform, where we no longer talk about the pedophile of the week, but about things that are mostly positive. Where originally, sharing your thoughts on a new show or game you just watched / played would get you shouted at that nobody gives a fuck. Now you actually get asked, what's that? And people are genuinely curious to stir up a nice conversation with each other. It's truly better. I mean, just yesterday we were talking about the amazing digital circus and how the community is cringe as can be. It truly is a story for the ages. The story of how a community has evolved, and not to pat myself on the back too much, how I actually made a difference and changed the community for the better. Big shout out to players who have written out the entire thing, people like Long Zero, Shisui, Spartan316, and a few others. I just want to say, thanks for not being like the new guy and learning to change with the times. And of course, I mean no harm to Long Zero for putting people in their place, as honestly, while it may have been a little mean, and while it would probably get someone banned from clubs if they did it now, back then it did actually work effectively most of the time, and was for the best, as you couldn't report people. But yeah, that's it. Every major shift in the global chat, and every main center of drama. But what's next? Well, honestly, I hope nothing. I really do hope global stays at its current peak, and that people will continue to adamantly and swiftly report people, showing the mutually understood zero rudeness tolerance that is expected now. And I hope NG finally realizes that it's not 2021 anymore.
Why are you still starting arguments over nothing when you log on?
Not to beg or anything, but just consider liking and subscribing, because like it actually really does help me a lot. Anyways, I really do hope you guys enjoyed. And always remember,
This is why great are oppressed!
Forever running from this lunacy.